creates a pseudo obligation because it's a condition when there is no condition. So you want to say non-obligation. And one of the deals why the U.S. democracy corporations will always use the terms white and black is so they don't have to put their national identity, because the law comes from the nation. See, so what they're doing, they're offering you a contract under vague auspices and then getting you to do the contract, and now they have the contract to use against you as law. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But now this is another reason why when someone starts commanding a specific performance from you, that you must ask them their name and their nationality, and say you don't want it verbal, you want it in document, verifiable document. You see your nationality card. Well, I'm American. Well, America starts from Chile on up to Alaska. You know, because now you're dealing with specific law. That's how you beat them.
And when you spoke about fraud.
That's fraud.
Fraud is redeemable.
Fraud is a misrepresentation to get someone to give up something of value from themselves.
But what if I get you this year, or I get you 20 years, or 100 years?
Yes.
It's still fraud.
Now you want to start looking at that too. And harassment. You know, issuing a fraudulent instrument through the mail. Racketeering. Islam.
So, just to have clarification for myself, the state ain't allowed to take that, and the city ain't allowed to do
Not really,
that.
because it doesn't apply to you. The fact of the matter is they're supposed to be paying us taxes.
Okay. What about Social Security?
No, back up.
Sir.
The fact is they're supposed to be paying us taxes.
Correct.
But under color, they traded places. Now, because the Negroes, blacks, and colored have instituted all the churches and have supported all their institutions, it's called a waiver. Yes, it's called a waiver, and it's called abandonment. So since they do not honor their mothers and their fathers, and they transact their business in Roman names, the Romans have actual legal authority over them under a waiver. Then for so many generations, they've transacted business in the Europeans' name, knowing that they're not European. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then agreeing to be someone who they know that they're not. There's no Negro, black, or colored people on the planet Earth. There's no Negro Dina in Africa, Asia, Europe, the Americas. There's no Caledonia. There's no Blackville, Blackadenia. There's no flag that represents nothing like that. They're all brands. In the dictionary, it will tell you that they're adjectives. If they're adjectives, they are not proper nouns. If they're not proper nouns, they cannot identify anything. They're designating or a modified social condition. A child knows that. 3rd grade, grammar. But if they agree to that, it's a contract. So they made a pact with him. They make a pact with him. They sign a certificate that says that child belongs to the state of New Jersey. They sign a marriage certificate that comes under the police power of the Christian powers of Title 37, absolute in every respect, under police powers, under Dar Manual, under the Daughters of the American Revolution, Knights of Columbus, Ku Klux Klan, which makes them state property, and even the children state property. So they keep doing this thing. And then they do it with the state agents called preachers who are ordained by the state, and they keep on lying and say Jesus ordained them. And they get the ordination papers from the state, and they say, by the power vested in me in the state of New Jersey, I pronounce you man and wife. They just sold you. But the people lie on Jesus and say, this man represents him, don't it? Guess what you just did? You made a contract, and guess what? They can hold you to it legally. And so our people need to learn contracts for real, seriously. I'm gonna get to you. Let me get to him, and then I'll get to you, Brother Dewey.
Islam, brother. On the IRS.
Internal Revenue Service Corporations.
Yes. Now they wrote me a letter, and I responded to them who I was, nationalized and everything. And the letter was signed by Zachary from Atlanta. So I wrote the letter to him. I wanted to make sure the letter was signed by someone from the IRS. But it was one of those signatures that looked like it was photocopied on there.
Yeah, always is.
So when I went through the Postal Service to find out when I sent it, who signed for it was somebody different at the IRS.
Uh-huh.
So this was back in May.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from them since.
Of course.
So if I really have to respond to them again,
You always keep your response. You keep theirs on file, keep yours on file, keep the relationship on file. Then what you want to do after you've done that, if they didn't respond, what else did you ask in it? Did you ask for any particulars in
No.
response from them?
No.
Well, go back and do that. But the deal of it is, when you do that, see when you respond to it, they get you to make these vague contracts while they themselves are not contracted to you. So actually you're making the contract with the corporation with no signature. So it becomes a linear instrument. You're bound, but they're not. See, so you want to look at that too. Always keep that in mind. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they didn't respond does not mean they're not issuing or instituting an action or not.
Right.
Don't assume. That's not how they operate. A lot of times they let you get comfortable and they come middle of the night and put a lock on your business. You know, and you got to remember, this is how they got Sammy Davis Jr., Joe Louis, Walcott, Red Fox, on and on. You know, and they target particularly their estates. You know, if they fail, they attack their estates because it only belongs to them, really. You know, so to protect yourself, you want to start talking about being careful when you respond to those instruments that they send in the mail with all caps. You must not waive that. You must always address that in your response to them. You say, oh, you sent me this mail. Thought Happy Clown sent it. It's grammatically incorrect. You spelt this Norman such and such and such and such and such. That is not me. If you are not aware, this is how my name is spelt. And then you say capital, small case, small case, small case, small case. If you're any confused, you know, and I'm a natural person, you might have assumed I was a corporation. Now you know I'm not. You know, and then you say that, you put that in written form. Then if they mess with you in the future, now you got them for practicing slavery through the mail. Extortion, you got them for extortion, attempted extortion. Then the other deal is, don't assume that they have jurisdiction just because they wrote you the letter. The letter is an offer to get you to consent to that offer. And so they're creating it. Just like if they, like you say, they wrote you again and again and again. Well, they're figuring if they keep writing to you, sooner or later you're going to respond to it. And you're going to fill some part of it out, and that's what makes the contract. Now they got you. See, so the deal of it is, and the other point that I want to make is, stop looking at exempt. That's conditional. Say, like, so like, say if you were a corporation and you send an instrument to me, and I would ask you, you know, what's your nationality, what's your name and your nationality? What's your law, what jurisdiction? How is that jurisdiction established? Give me particulars relative to that jurisdiction. Of course, you're not going to do it. Then I say, well, please don't send me any more mail because I don't know who you are. I don't know what your political allegiance is. You have not established where you derived your authority, and I can only assume that you might be running some kind of racket.
And they are.
Of course they are, but the point of it is you must say it. And then you must set the stage for them to have to respond to you in kind. You don't accuse them, you imply to accuse them. I'm not sure. Just saying, you know, somebody's asking you for something, say, I don't really know where you're coming from. Then you establish this information so that I can be assured what jurisdiction, authority, etc. Or by right, etc. And they have those forms there. You know, actually you can argue with them because you don't need those forms. But I'll put on the form government, Great Seal Federal, and I'll put the treaty number on it, right? And then I'll have non-obligation. Would have exempt, you know, just non-obligation, you know. And then the tax is written off. Or like if I go to a car dealer and I write, if I see a vehicle I want, whatever's in the window is what I pay. but I would pay cash. I never buy anything. I never get things that I can't afford. Do you understand? If I want something, I go get it, but I don't pay tax. Now, small petty stuff, a lot of times, you know, I don't go through the argument because I don't want to argue with the clerk or something like that, but anything that's caused any real finance, I'll also take the moment to try to teach the clerk, especially